I used to think I wasn't creative enough or smart enough to start my own business. I remember sitting at my desk and thinking, what do I even have to offer? I was afraid that I didn't have enough skills or that I would waste so much time and end up failing. Or what would people think of me when they saw what I was doing online? And to be honest, those thoughts paralyzed me. I procrastinated on starting my business because I didn't even know where to start or what I could even do. And I was working over 12 hours a day. So I didn't have time to waste on things that weren't going to work. And what could I even do anyway? It's not like being a nail tech gives me any qualifications to run a business online. But I kept seeing people online talking about how they were making passive income without having to work so hard like I was doing. And I wanted that so desperately. And to be honest, I just couldn't keep juggling all the things that I was juggling at that time and trying to stay afloat. I was stressed all the time and I had nothing to give at the end of the day. I remember so many days after work that I would be almost in tears because I was just so exhausted. I couldn't even handle anything. And my emotions were just off the charts crazy. One day I came across this quote and it hit a nerve, and I want to share it with you. It says, "Growth is painful, but nothing is as painful as being stuck somewhere you don't belong." I didn't want to be stuck where I was any longer, and I knew I had to do something about it. So I decided I was going to try something, anything, to get out of this rut that I was in. And since I didn't have a lot of time, I just decided I was going to take 1 hour a day and work on it. And if I couldn't work on it the 1 hour a day, that was okay because I didn't want to put further stress on myself. But I would spend a little time on the weekends if I missed some of the days during the week. I wanted to build a passive income business that was fun for me, but that I didn't have to spend hours and hours and hours every day working on because I didn't have that kind of time. I also wanted something low cost and low risk because I didn't have a bunch of money to sink into starting this business for myself. And I had so much self-doubt that I decided I should start journaling to try to get rid of some of the negative thoughts in my head and just try to get rid of some of that self-doubt so that I could pursue this and actually make it work. The passive income stream that I chose was making printables and selling them on Etsy at that time. And the reason I chose that was because I knew I could design one printable per day in that 1 hour that I had allotted myself to be able to work on my passive income business. I had a lot to learn because I had never made a single printable in my whole life, but I just dug in to Canva and I started designing some things and just playing around and trying to figure out how to make these printables myself, starting with very simple things that would be easy to make. So when I first started, I was making printables for small business owners, and I don't make those at all anymore, but that was my starting point. And you just have to get started somewhere. Like, just because you start somewhere doesn't mean that that's where you're going to end up with your business, but things just evolve over time. So the first thing that I designed was a bundle of products, which at that time, it was just a coincidence. That's what I recommend for people to do now when they're starting to sell printables. But I had no clue what I was doing. I just decided to bundle all these things together. So I made this bundle for small business owners. It had like business cards and thank you cards and stickers and some other little printables for business owners. And when I first listed it, I had no idea if it was going to sell, but I was super proud of myself for just getting it made, getting started, and getting it listed on Etsy. Then I just started working on some other printables and waited to see if that bundle was going to sell. And when you're waiting for your first sale to come in on Etsy or any other platform, it feels like an eternity for something to happen. But I was really surprised. After about 2 weeks, I got my first cha-ching on Etsy, and that small business bundle had sold for $27. So that was my very first passive income through my printables business that I made, $27 sale. But let me tell you what happened. When I made that first sale, it changed everything for me because it allowed that self-doubt to start to melt away, and for me to be able to see that I could actually make money doing this. Like, I made one sale, why can't I make another sale and another and another and another? That $27 sale was the sign that I needed to keep going, that I was on the right track. And sometimes you just need a sign. And don't be afraid to ask for a sign. Like, when I am doing something new and I'm not sure if I'm on the right path or something, I'll just say, show me whatever. So I usually try to choose something that is not something I would normally see, but that I know is possible to see. So for instance, some of the things I've used in the past is like a deer or a rainbow or a frog. When I ask for that, I just say, if I'm on the right track, show me a deer. And then I just wait and see if I see deer. If like months go by and I don't see a deer, then I'm probably on the wrong track. But in most cases, I do usually end up seeing the thing. Like, for instance, I had asked to see a deer and I saw so many deer for like weeks straight. I just kept seeing deer everywhere. So I knew I was on the right track. I've also done it with the rainbow. I asked to see a rainbow and I saw the brightest rainbow I have ever seen in person. But it doesn't have to be in nature either. Like, you could see it in a picture or something like that. So that's why I say, try to choose something you don't normally come across all the time. And maybe that sounds a little hokey to some people, but it works for me. That's just my way of doing things. If it's not for you, then you don't have to do that. That's just my way of knowing if I'm on track or not. One thing I learned from this experience, though, is that confidence comes from doing, not waiting until you're ready. When I think about anything that I've become confident in, I had to just start, and then the confidence builds over time. And the biggest hurdle is just starting, because that's when you feel like you need the most confidence, but you just have to do it. And you don't need to know everything to get started. I used to find myself getting caught up in this planning phase constantly, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I have to know how to do this before I can get started. And the truth is, if you spend all of that time planning, you're never going to get started. So you just have to take the first step and then learn from your mistakes, because you'll probably make mistakes and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, especially in business. You just have to learn from those mistakes and don't continue making them over and over again. And each and every try is going to make you more confident as long as you continue to learn from the mistakes. And here's the thing, nobody's path to success is linear. So I told you about the bundle that got my business going. But the thing is, that product never became a bestseller for me. It sold a few times, but it was never one of my best sellers. So it was almost like that one was just the one that lit the spark for me to keep going. And then I had other products that I created later that ended up being bestsellers and still continue to be bestsellers for me. And if I can go from doubting myself to starting a successful business, you can too. You just have to be willing to take that first little step and learn from your mistakes and keep going and keep changing the path a little bit whenever you need to, in order to get on the right track. And you have to realize that your dreams are worth putting yourself out there for being a little bit scared.